Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me in the locker room on this Tuesday, November 22nd. I'm Alan Locher. Former One Life to Live co-stars and friends Melissa Archer and John Brotherton are stopping by today to look back at their time working together on the popular soap and fill us in on some of the great projects they've been working on. Melissa created the role of Natalie just over 20 years ago. It didn't take long for Natalie to shake up one of Llanview's most prominent families when she revealed that she, not Jessica, was Viki's daughter. Melissa soon moved to Salem as Serena Mason on Days of Our Lives, creating havoc everywhere. Some of Melissa's other TV and film projects include Excuse Me for Living, West End, Coach of the Year, Beacon Hill, Youthful Daze, Sweet Dissolution, Wraith, South 32, Viral, Deadly Expose, The Bay, and her YouTube series, Melissa Is A Dork. Last month, Melissa and her co-star, One Life to Live co-star, Jessica Morris, teamed up to co-write the new thriller romance, Betrayed by Bridesmaid, that aired on Lifetime last month. John Brotherton joined the cast of One Life to Live as Jared Banks in 2002. He went on to star as Matt Harmon on the Netflix hit series Fuller House for all 5 seasons. In addition to his role on Fuller House, John has appeared in primetime on the hit series Two Broke Girls, Modern Family, American Horror Story, to name a small few. On film, he has been seen in The Conjuring, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Furious 7. His most recent television movie, Lights, Camera, Christmas, just aired this month on the Hallmark Channel. John is also part of the Fantasy Football Cause, which celebrates fantasy football and helps to raise money for very worthy causes. It is my pleasure to welcome Melissa Archer and John Brotherton to the locker room.
Woo!
How long has it been since you two have laid eyes on each other?
Oh gosh, honestly, Missy,
Forever.
like I want to say when like Allie was kind of helping you out look for a place.
Yes,
Maybe.
it
You were
was
trying to
like
figure this out last year. It's like 4 or 5 years, maybe.
I think it's been more. I think it was like 2014, maybe.
Oh my gosh, we're getting
I know.
Sparky.
I know.
Oh,
I know.
I love that. I love
You're
that.
as beautiful as ever.
Thank you. So
Are you
good to
both
see
Proud of
you.
us, man.
Thank you for being here. Thank you. Thank you to Stephen Bergman for connecting us.
Yes.
I ran into
That's
him on-
Stephen.
Yeah, the red.
Are you looking forward? Melissa's on the road, but John, are you looking forward to Thanksgiving?
Always, man. I love Thanksgiving. You know, it's food and football and family. That's really sums it up around here. So my wife goes to town, and yeah, so it's always a good one for us.
Stretchy pants all around.
Big
and
Lots.
Melissa's
the Al
glamping.
Yeah.
Melissa's glamping. Where will you be on Thanksgiving?
I will be somewhere outside of somewhere in between Sedona and Phoenix.
Wow.
Yeah.
How about you?
I want to learn more about that as we go on. I'm curious for both of you. What drew you both to acting?
Go ahead, Missy.
Well, that's a loaded question. So when I was really young, I know. Well, let me just go back to the beginning. I did some kind. So there was this thing called PJU, which is Plano Junior University, and it was like this cool like summer school program where like an Excel program, and they had like a dance thing and they had a little acting thing. And I remember thinking, oh, that's really cool. I really liked it. And then years later, I ended up getting into plays. And the first play I did, I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do. And that's how I got in. And I told my mom.
And for you,
and
John?
that was it.
For me, so I grew up with a single mom who had just a love and a passion for film and TV. That was sort of like the sports in our household. We, you know, the Oscars were like the Super Bowl, and I thought everyone sat around the dinner table and broke down casting and wardrobe, editing. So at a very young age, she was taking me to like the art house. We, instead of seeing the big blockbuster film, we'd go see like My Left Foot or, you know, something crazy like that. And it just was part of me. I started going to drama camp when I was about 10 years old. It was like a summer program. Then I was also a jock during the school year. So it's sort of like this balancing act. And it's kind of hard to do both when you're young. So it wasn't until like college I got back into it, fell back in love with it. And then going into my senior year of college, I was studying business, but I was doing acting on the side just to make me happy. And I realized one day, why don't I put the effort into what makes me happy, that I'm putting into this other world that, I'm chasing, I don't know what. So, I got in the car and headed south on I-5 and showed up in LA with a big dream and nothing but the clothes in the back of the car.
Where was that theater camp?
So that was in Portland, Oregon. And it was every summer for like 5 weeks. It was amazing because it kind of broke me out of my shell. It taught me a lot about just interacting as a human. There was all kinds of classes from improv, stage combat, juggling. I mean, it was every kind of, we were doing Shakespeare, we were doing musicals. So it taught me a lot about life before I even kind of realized it. And I was falling in love with acting without looking at acting as a career, which I think was kind of beneficial. I think a lot of people, are like, oh, I want to be an actor, and they're chasing some sort of dream of celebrity where I, as a kid, literally just fell in love with it as a hobby for many, many, many years through college. And it wasn't until, I realized my hobby might be where it's at.
Was your mom a soap person if she was a big, She
was not a soap person, although she became a soap person. We missed an episode once I was on it. She watches. She's the kind of mom that was at every game I ever played. She watched everything I've ever done. She, never missed anything ever in my life to this day. So she's probably watching right now. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. And Melissa, your mom watched One Life, right?
She did. Yes, that was her show.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
that's
it worked out really well. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about what you remember both about your auditions and screen tests, and then I want to know about the phone call you calling Mom to say you got the part. So you go first, Melissa.
Gosh. Okay. So I auditioned for Jen, which was like maybe 6 months or a little bit more before I ended up auditioning for this other character, which I think the name was named Anna. And by the time we moved to screen test, they changed the name to Valerie and completely gave me brand new sides, like right before I got on the plane. And then, and then by the time we did the screen test, and then part was booked, it was changed to Natalie. And what I did find out is that they actually changed the character and the whole like storyline in between all of that. So that was part of the reason for the major change.
Who was your screen test with?
My screen test was with Brandon Routh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I remember, and I remember like, it was cool because, okay, so I got in, what was it, like the night, I think it was the night before, and my friend lived in New York. So I met up with her and she was like helping me run my lines, blah, blah, blah. And I was staying at the hotel, which I think was called the Empire, which is no longer there. And
the Empire's not, no, I think the Empire's still there.
No, I'm pretty sure it's not. I mean, I could be totally wrong.
Across from Lincoln Center?
Yeah. I could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Don't quote me. Maybe I just thought they were gone, but I swear they were gone. Anyway, so I was sitting there and I had to check out. Like we were supposed to, like my audition or my screen test was like at 6 a.m. I had to be there, and I had thought I set a wake up call, but I'd never heard it until my phone rang and it was casting. I was like, so, and we had to check out like when, we were leaving. So I had to throw all my stuff in my ginormous suitcase and then run over to, which is like, it's like a block and a half, but still it's a block and a half. And I'm assuming I'm walking in and like, I'm done, right? Like this, they're like, bye, thanks for coming kind of thing. That's what I think is going to happen. Thank God it's screen test. There's like 6 or 7 other girls going. I wasn't first. So it was like almost like it didn't happen, I was the only one probably as worried and maybe casting. So it was cool. I really enjoyed it. Julie Madison was an awesome like coach. She's casting, but the day before we did like a session kind of just going through things, and she gave me a lot of notes, which were awesomely helpful. And then I did the like rehearsal with Frank, and that went really smooth. Yeah. And then I did the actual screen test, and I remember him walking up to me. So we did the scene once, and then and it was cool because this is the first time I'd actually done a screen test. So like I knew what to expect, but I hadn't actually done it to see it. But you know, you're on set, so everything. So you're in costume, you're in full hair and makeup. So it's not just like being in this random room with, you know, that doesn't look like anything. Like you're in it. You're submersed. So, anyway, he came up to me after the first take, and he was like, "That was really great." He goes, "Can you do it again?" And at the very end, when you're hugging him, can you have like one tear come out and a little smile, like just barely? And I was like, "Sure."
God.
And then
Pressure.
right?
Pressure.
And inside I'm going, "Oh my God," you know, like, "Can I do this?" And then I was like, "You got this." And I did it. I couldn't believe it. So I did it, and then that's it. You know, you get
Is
back on a
that a
plane.
normal question? Can you have one come out? Because I mean, man,
I don't know. But I'll tell you, I got it. I mean, obviously, I don't want to ruin it for you guys. Spoiler alert, I got it. But yeah, I mean, it was like, but you don't know. Like, I literally left New York. I have no idea, and I had to just wait till the phone rang. So it was trippy, but it was cool. And the day I found out, forget about it. Forget about it.
I know,
That
right?
was crazy. That was crazy.
And John,
I remember
for you?
your screen test.
Yeah, well, first of all, I got to give Missy props because she could always turn it on and off like that. Like we'd be having fun on set, doing whatever we're doing, having a blast, and it'd be like 3, 2, 1, and whoosh, whatever needed to be there. Like she could turn it on and off. So I have no doubt that tear came running down her eye right when it was supposed to. No, so my screen test was kind of crazy. I actually ended up doing it twice. So I flew out to New York and went through the process. They do the whole they rush into your wherever. I was in someone's dressing room. I forget who it was at the time. They put you in some other actor's dressing room, and they come rushing in. They're like, "Oh, they changed sides." So you're like, "Oh, shit." Like, okay, and like you find out later they do this all on purpose to see if it like you can, frankly, if you can pick up dialogue quick and make a choice and execute. So I went through the first test with Missy. It was like 3 scenes put together of basically when Jared Banks first comes through the door into the office. But then, so I fly home afterwards and we don't hear anything. And like a week goes by and I'm thinking, okay, well, I didn't get that, you know? And then I'll never forget, I was laying there and I get a call from my agent. He says, well, there's good news and there's bad news. He says, the bad news is you have to test again. The good news is you're the only one they're bringing back. So I was like, okay, what does that mean? And he's like, so they're going to bring a new group of guys. You're kind of their pick, but they want to make sure that you're not just a fluke because I was a newcomer. I hadn't really done anything at that point. So I was like, okay. So I fly back out to New York. Now I'm a little more ready for, you know, they throw you on set. You go through hair and makeup. You're shooting a real scene. It's kind of the only, you don't really do that in any other sort of genre medium that you shoot a real scene with the real actor on the set with the camera, you know, running like the real camera crew, everybody. But it was with Melissa again, and it felt great again. And then this time I was getting ready to fly home and I'm in the airport and I get a call from my agent and they say, how do you like the weather in New York? And I was like, I could get used to it. Well, you start next week, so go home and pack your bags.
So cool.
That was.
Had you already met Al? You were already with Allie, right? At that point?
Oh yeah. So
Okay, yeah.
I've been with my wife now. We weren't married yet. We got married in New York.
Oh wow, that's great.
Yeah, she was there. A lot of the cast was there actually. Bree was there, Brandon, Kristen, Frank was there. So that was a fun flight home. That was probably the only time I've ever really enjoyed 5 hours on a plane. But I didn't tell Allie. I surprised her at work when I got home.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Which was fun. And then it was baptism by fire. You know, I went from like starving artist, like slinging drinks and bartending to like on a Friday to like you start Monday. And that first week I had 13 episodes to shoot within the first 5 days. So it was like, because they they'd been trying to cast this character, so they kind of were backed up. And my first day, I remember, was like, you got to rock and roll.
When I don't know who told you that you had 13 episodes, did your heart stop?
I was so geared and ready to go. I was like, you give me whatever. This beats
Wow. Yeah.
any day of the week. So I couldn't have been, and like, if you really love the craft, like, bring it on. That's what was so fun about the soap, is you work so much. You work year round. You work, almost every day. The circumstances and the stakes are so high. Some baby's getting kidnapped, or your stepsister's crazy and has you in some locked up cage. Like, it's crazy. Like, somebody's dying. Exactly.
Wow.
We don't know anything about that.
Well, I got to tell you both, a lot of love coming from the fans. Natalie's everybody's favorite character. They loved Melissa and John. Really a lot of love. Your first day, I mean, for both of you, were there nerves? I mean, there must be. I mean, this is a big deal.
Definitely nerves. Yeah. I mean, but like, for me, it reminded me a lot of sports. I was like, let's fucking go. Like, this is kickoff. I'm ready to lay some hat. Like, I was so jacked up in the beginning, and my character had so much swagger, which I just loved. He came in as this con artist, and so I honestly, like, the nerves didn't feel, they were like good nerves, like good butterflies. I was so ready to rock. I remember my first scene was like knocking on a door and coming in. And I was just like, there was something so
he was so good.
I was just ready to rock and roll. It was fun.
He was very good.
Melissa was there when John arrived. Was there someone who took you under your wing when you arrived, Melissa?
Yeah, I would say Erica took me under her wing like pretty instantaneously. She gave me a lot of really good advice. So did Mark Derwin.
He's a buddy of mine.
I love him.
Love him.
So great. And yeah, but Erica, she just, I don't know. I mean, besides, obviously we had a lot of scenes together, but I don't know. She came across as, well, not came across, she was someone who was just like as though she really was my mom, like just like a warm and loving person, but also extremely smart, and also, very poised, I guess would be the right way to put it. And it was just, I don't know, like not what I would have expected from someone with her clout, and just, yeah. So it was pretty cool. I don't know how to describe it other than it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think we were so lucky on that show that all the older actors that were like our seniors,
like Bobby,
Bob, Jerry Vidorn, oh my gosh, Ryan Kerwin when he came on as my dad. I mean, they were such like, Hillary. Oh God.
I love that.
Oh, I love Kerwin. He was such a great dude to have as my father figure. And then I shared a room. Jerry Vidorn and I shared a room together, and he was.
Oh, you did?
Buckets of wisdom.
Please share memories of. We did a tribute for him a couple weeks ago.
Honestly, like, what an amazing dude! Like, I had so much admiration for him. He made me feel so welcome. He was always there. When you share a room with someone, that's an interesting thing. But there was always like coffee together in the morning. We had we'd run lines together if we needed to. He was always there for, advice if I needed it. But then we could talk family. We could talk, sports, whatever it was. Like, I just adored him so much. And he was so talented on stage as well. Just so grounded. All those guys were so grounded. Like Erica, she just made it look so easy and effortless.
Yes.
And it was just great to watch them. They're such pros.
I mean, how lucky I can get choked up because I've known Jerry a long time, and for somebody new to walk in the door and have him as your dressing, the lessons learned just by watching him as a human being in that environment, exactly.
And how he treated everybody. He treated everyone with love and respect. He was just 100%. A prime example from top down.
He was the type of person who he'd come in the morning, and he always had a smile on. We had to get in there sometimes at like 7:30, 6:30 sometimes for rehearsal, and He always was positive, always, always. And not that a lot of people weren't positive, but to see someone who's been doing it for as long as he has, that's not jaded, and he's not, and I hate to say this, but males too, I feel like had more of a tendency, there's more of that alpha sometimes and he wasn't like that. He was like John said, he was grounded, but he was also loving. He was so giving in his scenes, and just like as a person,
and he was funny.
He was. I was just gonna say that was the other thing. He was funny. We would get the giggles on set, and it was like he was always down to be. He could be the most mature person on set if he needed to be, and he could be like your secret buddy that you could giggle with if you needed to be.
He told the story of Bobby, which I think Bobby did to a lot of people. The chicken,
Yep.
Jerry. It was so funny.
I didn't know he did that with Jerry. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, he did. I'm pretty sure he did. Yeah, that's so funny. Brittany was asking, what was your favorite Charlie moments?
Well, I'll go first.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
First of all, I have a million, but this is just a story. I don't even know. It was whether it's my favorite or least favorite. Either way, I don't know if you remember. One day we had 72 straight pages.
Yep.
Me and you. So basically, in New York, because the stage was so small, they would have to build a set and then strike it that next day because they'd have to move on to something else. So it was the cabin. It was when I revealed that I was actually not related.
Oh yeah.
Right. So we go and we shot 5 episodes of 6 scenes an episode. So it's 30 straight scenes, just you and I. We were going on like a work trip to the cabin, but then I revealed that I'm not your cousin or whatever I was. No, your uncle. And of course, then you like hate me and we fight, and then we make up and we like make love on the ground. Then we get to work. It was like this, but it was 8 straight hours of you and I just like been grinding through this script, like 72 straight pages. And he did. I remember coming home and I was like, blah, 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 blah. And my wife's like, settle down, calm down. Because like, I was on this like crazy adrenaline.
You're high, yeah, totally.
Nuts. Like there's no other set anywhere where you will ever do 72 straight pages in one day. And it was just like, it was a whole boot camp experience. So for me, that's like my most memorable. I mean, we had so many awesome times.
It's so interesting. You started, John, talking about going to, summer camp, and then your first thing is really like this
boot camp.
It doesn't get more intensive than that, daytime boot camp, because it really is boot camp for.
So true. It's boot camp. That's the best way I describe it all the time to people. It teaches you how to be a pro. Like,
it does.
It teaches you to be a pro as an actor. Hit your mark, say your line, execute, make a choice.
Yep. I think the one thing, because I remember people saying that the downside in soaps is that because we do go so fast, that there are times that you can't, you can get these bad habits, I guess, because like I used to have this eyebrow thing. I didn't do it on purpose, but it just became a thing. So, we have to tag at the end of a scene, so my eyebrow would go up, and very classic. So,
hold that for 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Right. And it was a thing, whatever. But at the same point in time, as you can create these bad habits, I think those are easier to get rid of. What it does do on the good side is you can memorize so quickly. You, like John said, you have to make choices and you have to make them quickly. And that doesn't always mean that it's going to be the best choice, but it means that if you have to in a quick moment, like say you are on a film set and something's not, they have to make a quick change and they want you to come in, and it's like everything that you had been working on, they've decided they want to do something totally different. You have to be able to do that. And I think in soaps, we're trained to do that so fast that it's not a big deal if we had to do it somewhere else where we might have had more time to put, some extra thought in our choices and what have you. But also just being able to kind of go with the flow and do whatever needs to be done. I just don't know where else you can get that from. I mean, it's tough.
On Missy's point, I remember when I got off the soap, I had this great conversation with this prominent casting director in town, and she said, if I ever have to recast for a pilot or a show or something where either an actor drops out or the producers end up saying, no, it's not working out, and I need someone like tomorrow to like get on set and execute. She goes, the first place I go is my soap opera Rolodex. Like, who's worked on a soap before? Because I know they can show up and absolutely just slay it. Like the next day, they'll get the sides the night before. They'll show up prepared. They'll execute. They'll make a choice, and then we'll go from there. Which I always thought was cool. It's like a badge of honor.
Well, Melissa, your dressing room mate for a while is one of your dearest friends, right, Jessica?
Yes.
And I think when I had her on, she was actually talking about, because she's done a lot of the Lifetime type movies, and I think they hire because they work, because of money, they work with
quickly
folks who they know can hit the mark, and that's you guys,
first takes.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Which we used to say, like, if you really feel like the scene is going really, really bad, you have to throw your line, because if you get your line right, they're moving on. Like,
oh yeah.
So it's almost on you. If you want a second take, you gotta like throw it, and just so they're forced to go for another take. Otherwise,
and you better throw it enough.
No, you gotta
like you almost have to cut the scene, because if you throw it even just a little and they're like, we can take that, they'll take it.
It's so true. Oh man.
When did you and Jess realize that you could, write and would like to write together?
Oh my gosh. Well, so that's a whole other funny story. I say funny because it's funny to me. But so Jess and another actor friend of ours and I were just kind of joking around and decided that we were going to write a script. And it was literally as a joke. Like, none of it was just like, I think we were talking about something, and then one of them was like, oh, that'd be a great name for I think at first it was a book, and then it became a movie, and then like that night we start creating characters and writing all this stuff out, and then eventually like we write this full script that was quite let's just say it was a little all over the place, but it was our first time, and we did what we did. And then Jess and I later went and we made a lot of changes, and eventually kind of recreated, or I shouldn't say recreated, really kind of created something new out of that original thought. And also we pointed it to make it for Lifetime. We wanted a TV movie type script. And so that was how we first wrote. And then from there, that producer that we worked with on that one brought us in to do a couple of other things. We're like the last couple of ones that we did together, we wrote them several times. This is like one of those things where I guess this is just part of the business, but we wrote them several times because they sometimes you are going to get funding for like a certain area. So then you have to write it for that, or whatever. And so we did, and then it would get, that funding would go away and we'd have to change it again for something different. So the very last time I actually decided I didn't want to write anymore for it. So that's why I'm story by on that one, and she did the final on it. But yeah, those are how we kind of got involved in that thing. And I mean, she's done I think a few things on her own, and I've been working on a couple stuff. I've been working on a couple stuff. Couple of them.
And you just had Betrayed by Bridesmaid air, and Tony just said that he loved it. Very thrilling.
Oh, good! Yay! Thanks for watching.
It's gotta. I mean, what's it like watching your words come out? Is it?
Well, it's funny because I don't even think I knew about one of them. It might have been that. It was probably that one. Yeah, it was that one. That had come out, and I think Jess texted me because she must have seen something pop up, and so I told my mom, because my mom has I guess it's the movie club or whatever. So she pulled it up and she was watching it, and then I kind of came into the room and I was like, oh, and I sat down and I was like, oh, I remember reading that. Oh, I remember that word. Oh, and it was great. And I was like, this turned out pretty good. So yeah, it's great.
That's awesome.
I will say I like writing it and not being in it more. I know that sounds weird, but because I think I'm less married to it when I'm not in it. When I'm in it, like I want it's like I feel like I want more control over it. But when it was like done and I was away from it, I was like, oh, look at that. That was good, you know?
I love that.
Sorry, go ahead.
When you look back on, you know, One Life to Live, you know, what immediately comes to mind for both of you?
New York City, my 20s, getting to live in the city, do what I love. I absolutely loved every day on that set. I think, you know, sometimes I love good soap fans because I think people outside that don't watch aren't a part of the world. Sometimes soaps can get a bad reputation. But again, it's because you're moving at the speed of light. The circumstances are what they are. But like the people involved, I mean, from crew to cast, you work as such a unit because you are flying and everyone has to be on the same page. I always say this, in 3 years, we never pushed anything to the next day. Maybe we went into 15 minutes of grace, but never, ever did we ever push anything. And it was a testament to how excuse my clock. I had so much fun. And Missy was like, honestly, the best partner I could have ever asked for. It was like, there was no drama behind the scenes. We just were like a couple buddies having a ball. And there wasn't a moment I didn't enjoy myself on that show. I really did. I loved it. I loved going back and playing Clint Buchanan and like back in the 70s when we got to do.
Oh my gosh, that was I forgot about that.
Fun. It was so much fun.
Oh, that was.
It was like, you know, I just love the crazy circumstances that we got to play out.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the thing. Like in soaps, you get to do in sometimes a very short amount of time all the things that you could do in acting for like every movie and every show you could ever do. You can do them all in one show in a short amount of time. And it's pretty cool. In 1 year, actually, you could probably do 10 of those storylines. So it's pretty fun. Yeah.
I love that.
I think that when I think of One Life, I just think, you know, I mean, that was a decade-ish more than, of my life. And it was it was a rite of passage. I mean, I learned so much. I went through so much. There was a lot of amazing times, a lot of not amazing times, just all the things. And it was all wrapped in, you know, New York, and 9/11 happened like less than 6 months, I think, after me moving there. So there's just so many things that entire time was wrapped in, but it's so good.
Especially with big life events. And you got married there.
I did. Oh, you
too. That's right.
No, this is a true story too. So, you know, like I said, I went from being like starving artist in LA and to all of a sudden, like I'm in New York and I'm working, and I took my first 2 paychecks and I cashed them. I went to the bank and cashed them and went to the Diamond District, the good old fashioned Diamond District in Midtown, like in New York City. My agent had set me up, like his sister knew someone in New York that was in the Diamond District. I went down, I like picked out the diamond.
I actually remember this now.
So then I set, this was the most precious thing I was so freaked out. So I bring this back to set. I had to work in the afternoon. I bought it. It took like a week to set or whatever. Then when I went to pick it up, I bring this thing back to set. I'd never had that much cash in my hand in my whole life, or had a piece of jewelry like that. So I'm on the subway. I have this thing in my pocket. My hand is gripped around it like you wouldn't believe. I'm thinking everyone's gonna mug me. I am so worried about leaving it my lock or my dressing room. I put it into my wardrobe and I have it in the pocket of I wish I knew which episode it was, because it's in the pocket of my costume as I'm on set working, and I have my hand like in my pocket on this thing, thinking if I take my hand off, it's definitely I'm losing this.
It's like, gone. Yeah.
You know, I laugh because I'll find it sitting on some random counter in the bathroom or up on. Now it's like later, who knows where it is in my house at certain times, and. But at the time, it was so great. And my wife was still, my girlfriend at the time was still living in LA. She was like packing our house to move out there. But her mom lived there, and I ended up staying at her parents' house. It was me and her mom, and I had the whole talk with her mom. Like she was the one.
Her mom lived here in New York?
In New York. Her mom was in Jersey. So she was across the water in Jersey. And so I was staying with her.
I knew you had a connection to New Jersey. Where is she from? Because that's where I'm from.
Okay, so Bergen County is where she grew up.
Yeah, me too.
And she was in Old Tappan, where their house. Now they live on Long Beach Island, which we visit every summer. My favorite place on earth.
I'm gonna mention that in a minute, but go ahead.
Mike, honestly, I could go on and on. But so I had the whole like chat with my mother-in-law about her future mother-in-law, like, can I marry your daughter kind of thing. And like, so it's just me and her in this house. And I like bring the ring home. And I remember like sitting around with her at night and we're like looking at the ring. And like Allie she's in LA packing our house. She has no idea this is, around the corner. And when I went home or went back to LA to pick her up, she basically was there for a month after I started the job. The movers came in LA and then we were sitting having takeout on the floor of our old house that we were now no longer living in. And all in our like workout gear from like moving all day. And that's when I proposed. And
you still had your hand on it in your
pocket. I still had my hand on it.
Your hand never moved off of that.
No,
that is the best like first paycheck stories. Because people ask a lot, especially in entertainment when it's a larger paycheck than some. What your first big purchase? That's a great first big purchase.
I literally cashed it. Yeah. And it was.
I know cash, which not even direct deposit.
Right.
No, they only took cash down the Diamond District.
Yep.
So that's how that worked.
So New York really holds a special place.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Well, I will admit, John, I was one of those very big fans of Fuller House. And a family friend knew that I was doing this today. And so Allison, my dear family friend, sent me this and said, please apologize from Long Beach Island for my tweens shrieking a few years ago.
I love that. I love going there. And it's honestly like, first of all, it's my favorite place on the planet. All we do is eat ice cream, fly kites, and play in the water. Like I get to be just a kid with my kids, and it's amazing.
The Jersey Shore is pretty great.
It's pretty great, and my in-laws live there. But the community is so wonderful, and honestly, there were so many, like, it's all families. So there's a lot of Fuller House fans there, and they're the best.
So, I was going to ask, do you normally get a lot of shrieks?
Well, what's funny? My kids get a kick out of it because in LA, nobody cares, right? As Missy knows, like LA is LA. But you go to Jersey and like my kids
it's different
because they love when the other kids run up to daddy. And frankly, it's always with so much that show brought so much joy to families that it's the best kind of attention. It doesn't bother me in that environment. I mean, it was all families saying, man, it was the one show I could watch with my kids. And
That's
so
nice.
like
it just made me smile. It was just feel good. And
that's
in this world, that's a good thing.
Yeah. We need that.
Correct. We need some feel good. So when like One Life, when you look back on the 5 seasons of Fuller House, do you just smile?
I've been really lucky. Because I do just smile. That was like, they're like family, I mean, and to be a part that show in the beginning, they were the first show to do the reboot. So season 1, we had no idea what to expect. Will and Grace hadn't done it. Roseanne hadn't done it yet. None of these shows had done it yet. They were the first. And some people were going, oh, you guys are up for a big disaster's coming. And other people were going, this will be a hit. Nobody, at first they couldn't sell the show. This was before Netflix was Netflix. And they kind of took a risk. Fox turned it down. ABC everybody turned it down thinking you guys are crazy. And then it went on to be the most watched comedy in the world on Netflix. And like, we like.
How long did it take for Netflix to pick it up?
Well, I mean, so we knew we were going to air. So it was like they ordered the 13 episodes, season 1, and we knew we were going to air. They just didn't know what kind of response it would.
What would happen?
And it immediately became their highest watched show ever.
It's amazing.
And went on to like.
I didn't realize it was really the first. It's so funny because John, I worked on As the World Turns and Guiding Light.
Oh, awesome.
And I think of One Life to Live and All My Children, and those 4 shows that if the streaming platforms had been thriving and knew what the models were, Not all 4 of those soaps would be on the air, but maybe 2 of them might have survived on some streaming platform.
No, I think you're absolutely right. It's like the 2 worlds missed each other, like ships in the night a little bit.
They really did. It was but wow, I didn't realize it was the first because I mean, my God, everything. I mean, I love the Connors. I mean, Cobra Kai, you know. Yeah.
No, I remember first season, the legacy cast, like the older, you know, Saget, bless him, most wonderful man ever, and you know, Stamos, never. They were all wonderful, but they were kind of apprehensive about, like, you know, what are we doing here? Are we treading on our legacy? And then, you know, come season 2, it was like, we're in, everybody's in. Like, you know, it was
cool.
It was so cool, man. And everyone, I mean, there's a reason that show had been a success the whole way. They're really a family, and, you know, they welcome the newcomers as a family, and we all stay, you know, really tight to this day. I talked to Andrea this week. I talked to Candace this week. I mean, there's some of my best friends in the planet.
I love that. I mean, boy, you know, it made me laugh. You know, I think laughter, it just goes so far, you know.
It does. And when you can laugh with the whole fam, like, you know, there's so many shows like that. So, and there was just enough jokes. There was a few jokes that would all go over the kids' heads. That would the adults.
What am I? Handmaid's Tale, right? Is one of the little boy's girlfriends?
Yes.
Handmaid's Tale. I'm sorry, I don't know the actress's name. But yes,
Anna Grace. She literally is blown up. Like, she's a superstar now. I mean, I
remember looking at her on Handmaid's Tale, being like, I know her, and then realizing
which one is she?
She's the
Which
young.
one is she on Handmaid's Tale?
Are you?
You'll know she's in so much now.
Are you caught up on the current season?
Yeah.
She was with the.
Okay.
McKenna.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes.
So stinking talented, that girl. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
She is good. Yeah. My God. Wow.
Yeah, she's good.
Yeah, talented bunch of people. Melissa, you just appeared on Saved by Grace on PureFlix. Tell us about that role and how you got involved.
Oh my gosh, so fun. Okay, so another fun story. You kind of pop up in the story, sort of. So I'll rewind it quite a bit. So as much as like, okay, so I was doing a movie that didn't end up happening last year around this time. And during that time, we moved to Oklahoma, and we were going to need a new crew. And I happened to know a producer in Oklahoma who was at one point helping out on this other show that we've been doing like a showcase for called Here to There, which I had talked to John about a couple of years ago. And he couldn't do because he was on Fuller House. So anyway, Randy ended up doing it. So that's how I knew Randy. And like I said, the movie didn't happen, so it didn't work out. But I kept in touch with Randy maybe like a month or so later. And I was like, oh, by the way, did I tell you I moved back to Texas? And he's like, no. So we kind of shoot, you know what, for a minute. And then maybe a week later, I get a call from casting for Saved by Grace. And he was friends with the director, and Randy was, and had told the director about me. And they cast me for the role of Sarah. So that was pretty like that.
Nice when it
and
goes.
A lot of webs.
It's nice when it goes like that. And one of the fans just said to the other fans all writing, David says, everybody be quiet, Melissa's talking. I love that.
But it was so fun though. Like I can honestly say it was the most fun I've had working on set in a really long time. Everybody was lovely. My co-star there, the guy who played my love interest, Richard Blake, is hilarious. And I'm pretty sure I was on every second that I wasn't actually filming, I was laughing. And I think there might have even been some times where we were able to work in the laugh into the scene because he's that funny. So it was great. And it's a really wholesome show. I love Jennifer. I love Cameron. They're awesome. And we had a snow day because I ended up, I think it was kind of unexpected actually. We got like a major storm that came in, and so we ended up having the day off. So Cameron and Jennifer and I went on a walking thing to Chili's, and it's dangerous because it was like lots of ice, and I fell, and I think she fell. It was a lot of fun. But they were great people, and we got to just, talk and really talk a lot about life. Ironically, not about the business. I feel like that's what most of the time we all end up doing. But yeah, it's just good people, and that hair and makeup team were just as lovely. But like also, then I find out that they're working with other friends of mine, like Jessica Morris, on another movie. And so everybody's just connected, and we're all up in, Bentonville, Arkansas. So I never would have expected. I don't know. It was just an amazing experience, and I loved the people, and everything was just great.
You both have worked with some pretty great people. And John, you just mentioned you were together with Bree Williamson last night.
That's right.
Lifelong friends you've all made from something that ended a long time ago.
Birth like a week apart, so they when they had babies, they kind of like were together all the time and had continued through the years. Now they're 12, which is crazy. It's nuts. It's so weird, but yeah.
Do you see the possibility of following in Dad's footsteps anywhere?
I'm letting that happen right now. They're actually, my two girls are big like jocks. Like sports is the biggest part of their life.
Nice.
Basketball players, and I love it. I coach one team. My wife coaches one of their teams.
Oh, that's awesome.
My wife played college basketball. Fun. It's very much that's what's part of their lives. So they've got to do a few things. They actually were in an episode of Fuller House, which was really fun. Definite making rights with their friends. I am not forcing it upon them. They've got to do some things by proxy, like just by being close to Dad. But I'm not yet at the place where I'm putting them in like the casting rooms and. I have such love and admiration for kid actors, but at the same note, it's a tough life to go through. I watched some of the amazing kids I worked with on Fuller House. Like what blew my mind is their job was exactly the same as my job. Like same pressure, the same, like when the camera's rolling, they have the same expectations on them, whether they're 9 years old or, 40 years old. Mm-hmm. And then when we would break and all the adults would go hang out in the commissary, the kids would go to school. Like their schedule was way more difficult than mine. So like, as much as I admired them and respect them, I'm not sure I'm quite ready to put my kids in that situation. If it happens totally organically, then I'm down. I just don't want to be that parent just because I'm in LA and it's what I do that's going to force it upon them. I want them to fall in love with it the way I fell in love with it. So, I could see them being around it in their lives. I don't know if it's going to be what they end up doing in the long run. We'll that remains to be seen.
Mm-hmm. Melissa, I heard you on the Digest podcast say directing is in your future.
We'll see. That is something I really would love to do. I think that it would be a challenge that I think I could step up to. So I've done like little stuff. When I say little stuff, like not film, but not film. It's more video, but video and a little bit of stage stuff. And I love it. Like I really love it. So getting to do something larger, would just, I can see it happening.
Is that in your future at all, John? Any desire?
100%. I have a few irons in the fire right now, both writing and directing. Directing is hands down my long-term goal here.
Okay.
So I've got a wonderful writing team I'm working with right now, and a production company, and we've got a few irons in the fire. Some bigger budget type stuff, some small budget type stuff, and it remains to be seen. But that will 100%. I obsess over it when I'm on set. I'm the actor that likes to hang out in Video Village and chat with the director and talk lenses and talk shots and composition and and I'm the actor that in front of the camera is going, constantly talking to the camera guys. Hey, where are we right now? Am I inside of me, outside of me? Or you use the two shot? Am I dirty? where, how tight, how
What
wide.
does dirty mean?
Dirty is like if they're over your shoulder and they see a little of you,
Okay. I don't
and
think I've heard that one, and I've been in this a long time. I love
if they're
that.
inside of you, it means they don't see you at all. So they're just like tight, like on Missy.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that means I'm completely off camera and you have freedom to just be off camera. If they're dirty, you're getting a little of you, but you kind of can't move around that much because you don't want to come into their shot. And just different lens choices create different atmospheres. If you're on a really long lens, but if you're up tight, everything behind you is going to be blown out, kind of like portrait mode on your phone. If you have a wide lens,
my favorite mode on my phone, my husband makes fun of me every day.
I'm in love with portrait mode. Totally.
I mean,
It's the best.
It is.
The best.
Now it's cinematic mode on iOS.
I have to. Yeah, I'm not sure. I must have it, but I don't know that I've been. Speaking of, you're out glamping. So talk about some of the, what are some of the favorite things or places you've been on this 6-week?
Okay, my absolute favorite is Bryce Canyon. I don't know that I've seen something more beautiful. It's straight out of a movie, like probably has been in movies. It is so beautiful. And then I went to this waterfall in Utah. I couldn't even tell you where in Utah it was at this point, but you hike to it, and oh God, I mean, all of these were just, every place I've been to was just like, that's my eyes every time. And I still, like, I was telling Alan this earlier, but I mean, I go and I'm seeing what I'm seeing, and I still don't think I'm capable of absorbing everything I'm looking at. That's how amazing this stuff is. And it's just blowing me away. Again, I know that America's got beautiful places because you see it in pictures, but then seeing it yourself, it's just.
I said to her there.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Like I travel to Europe so much that I have not seen our own country, and I know there are some spectacular places. Walter just said, "Here comes the iOS geek side of Melissa."
Missy always had the newest gadget. That's what I remember back. Like everything, I remember in her dressing room. Our dressing rooms were literally like 10 by 10. She had a little Roomba robot going around vacuuming. I'm like, for like literally this place, it was the size of this office.
Nothing.
She always had the new gadget. Always had the new gadget.
Where did that start again? I know you told me once before. Your
well,
geek
I mean, my geek side was always there, but I really got into like the jailbreaking stuff and all of that pretty much when the iPhone came out. But before that, I was always into tech. So since I can remember, I loved messing with computers, and I was never quite a full hacker, but I always wanted to be. So I was like a wannabe hacker, and and not for bad, just because I like to break into things and like learn stuff. It's fun. But yeah, the jailbreaking stuff became kind of my thing in probably like the second iPhone that came out. If I remember correctly, because I don't think I got the first one because I didn't want to switch to AT&T, and then
That's
I finally gave in and just said,
now.
Okay. I know.
We're on 14.
And this is how, so they didn't even have picture messaging. And I remember I was so mad because I was like, I'm not getting this phone until that, but then I did it anyway. And so what I did is I was on Verizon, and I didn't want to lose my Verizon. So I reduced my Verizon down to like a $10 a month plan or something. And I got the little do you remember the Juke phone? There was like a little jukebox and it looked like a lipstick. So I got that for the Verizon phone, and then I got the iPhone, and I really wanted to do picture messaging. So and the other thing, I had come from, I had a BlackBerry before, and on BlackBerry, I was able to have like my, I don't know if it's your calendar or was your like, it was something, it was like your agenda basically was like on your home screen. And I wanted that, and I could not get it. And I realized I had to figure out how to do this. So I'm Googling before Google was like as good or bad as it is today. And I finally find this program that will do it. And I'm like, oh, this is it. And at the very bottom, it says must be jailbroken. I'm like, what is that? And then of course it sounds like you're breaking the law or something. So then I'm like, oh gosh, this is, So I end up like talking about it with these kids. And they know what it is, right? So then all of a sudden, so we're kind of getting, so I was like, it's not illegal. They're like, no, it's not illegal. And I was like, okay, but they didn't know how to do it. So then I was gonna be the cool one who could do it and do it for them too. So I learned how to do it. And back then it was actually kind of hard. Like you had to, I mean, hard if you never done it was hard. And like these days, when they come out with one, it's usually just like you hit a button and you just like let it go and it does its thing and you're done, right? Like then you had to like hit this button, do it for these amount of seconds. And if you did it wrong, you could break your phone, which means it wouldn't work ever again. So it was a lot of scary things, but it was fun. And so then I did it just for that. And then I just totally like went crazy about it. And like, I loved everything. And I just started learning. And then
so have you always been the person who helps everybody?
Yeah, most of the time. I mean, at least like in my crowd, like if I'm hanging out with other tech people, they're usually smarter than me. So then no, but but anybody who's not super tech, yes.
I love
Sparky. That. Oh, Sparky. I miss you, Sparky.
Where did the name Sparky come from?
That was the nickname on the show. Remember? That was what
they wrote it. I wasn't sure if
they wrote it
or one of you, I think
it was it in your screen test?
I think, yeah, it was. Yes.
I think it was. Because I think that's what because I think that's what made me be like when, because I remember that scene and I was like, this is the guy. And because I went up to Frank, I was like, no, John Brotherton. Like I was. Mm-hmm.
I remember that. I totally remember that. Yep.
I love that. Mm-hmm. John, tell us about the fantasy football cause that you're involved in.
Thank you so much. Yeah, no, in fact, I'm going to go right from here to go shoot our episode tonight. It's so it's a celebrity fantasy football league that we've put together. We call it Guilt-Free Fantasy Football. Basically, it was a bunch of friends of mine that we've always, we put a lot of time into fantasy football, and we thought, how do we make this a worthy time killer? And so we added charity to it. So we play in a celebrity league where we compete. Winning team gets, money for charity. Last year was Andrea Barber, Kimmy Gibbler from Fuller House. So we got to present her with a big ass golf check, which was awesome. And my charity's Make-A-Wish Foundation. And
that's awesome.
So then every week and the idea is that it's a fantasy football show, but it's not just stat heads. Like we're having fun on the show. There's a lot of laughs. We, sprinkle in pop culture. We always make some food and have a drink. So it's like hanging out with your buddies. Anybody's welcome. And we just have a good time, but we infuse, real stats and real takes on it. One of my co-hosts is an ex-professional football player. His brother still plays for the Lions. Oh, wow. And then my other co-host, Jay Hayden, who's on Station 19, he's an actor. Him and I go back years before One Life to Live. We were bouncers together. It was our first job in LA. And we've stayed friends.
At what club?
It was called Q's in Brentwood on Wilshire. And we stayed friends all through the years and both happened to become actors and actually pay our bills doing it. But fantasy football has been the one thing that kept us friends through the years. We've been in the same league. We have this big old engraved trophy we get done every year. And we've always been like, we need to do a show, but a fun show, not just stat heads talking about stats, but we're barbecuing and we're doing this and we're having fun and we're laughing and, we're being guys and so that's where, and then we brought our other friend involved who does a lot with charity. And so we call it Guilt-Free Fantasy Football. And we recap the week, talk about the upcoming week, have a laugh, have a cocktail, and raise some money for charity. It's pretty fun.
And this week is
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Say it again, Alan.
This week is Make-A-Wish?
No, so Make-A-Wish is who I am playing for. So if I win,
gotcha.
I will, this year the champion gets 10 grand to charity. And then we also can raise money along the way to add to that. But the prize, the big check is a $10,000 big old, as we like to say, a big ass check. The kind that Andrea last year was
like Ellen DeGeneres used to give, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Our first season we did during COVID. So Andrea Barber won. I secretly shipped this check to her boyfriend, and we're Zooming her on the championship weekend to tell her congratulations. And the door opens in the background behind her, and he walks in with this huge check.
That's awesome.
Where can folks watch it?
So we're on Altered TV, which is on you can just go right to their website, or it's on your Roku, and it's on, but basically if you go right to their website, you can stream it right from there. And then it's also a channel, so it plays like a couple times during the week on their channel. But you can stream it on demand at any time at Altered TV. It's ALTRD TV.
What a great way to, continue your love of sports, but to do something good with it.
The wife can't get mad at me now.
There you go.
All free fantasy football, baby.
I love it. I love it. Thank you both. Melissa, thank you for pulling over to the side of the road for us today.
And you have a friend.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. What's that?
Is your dog right there?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, let me see if I can show him.
Oh.
Say hello.
Wow, what a good pup.
So you got more
Isn't
gadgets.
he
I see
cute?
more gadgets there. You have more tech going on, all kinds of.
I do. You should see this car right now. It's crazy.
Pleasure to meet you, John. Thank you so much for doing this and sharing your memories with the fans. They loved seeing you both.
Totally my pleasure, Alan. Anytime. I appreciate you, brother.
Thanks for bringing us together again.
You're so welcome. You two have a great Thanksgiving.
You too.
You too. Thank you.
Give me a call. We're gonna hang.
Yes. Okay.
All right.
Bye, you guys.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thank you to Melissa Archer and John Brotherton for joining us today. Please join me next Wednesday, November 30th at 3 p.m. Eastern when Rebecca Buddig joins me live. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't yet done so. Click the like button and turn on the notifications for reminders of all upcoming shows. Don't forget, you can stream The Locker Room on all your favorite streaming platforms by searching The Locker Room. I hope you all have a great Thanksgiving, and please, please, please stay safe.